sometimes the routine sort of feels just like a checkbox, right? Did I check? Whereas like the idea of a morning ritual is that it's not a checkbox. It's, yes, you have this arsenal that you build, but these are tools in the toolkit, right? And they don't have to all come out every single day in the same order in the same way, but they do all exist for a really good reason. The idea is, let's create something that really helps you feel your best, lock in your focus, get really fucking clear, and then execute like a badass. The best morning ritual is going to be the one that you feel the most connected to, that you can stay consistent with. If it becomes this whole fucking obstacle course, it ain't going to work, you know? If you always have input, you know, coming out here, you know, from out here, and even if you're always projecting outwards, you never really get to hear the inner workings of what's happening. The idea really is, how can you turn your inner world to an inner sanctuary, a place of refuge, like where you go to be nourished, to feel loved, to be held. This is the Roxanne Show. Get ready. It's time to rise. Damn, we're running. Okay. This episode is for any of you who have been wanting to create maybe a new morning ritual. I'm not going to use the word routine. I'll explain why. Or maybe you don't have one yet. I want to breathe a little life into this subject. I mean, at this point, I think we've heard about the morning routine so much. I certainly have been talking about my morning ritual and the value of having a morning ritual literally for years now. I think it was like one of the first episodes that I recorded, solosodes. And the reason for that is because it's such a huge piece to how I function on the levels that I function, which I'm really proud of. You know, I can perform at really high levels, and ultimately it's just how I feel inside myself as I move through my days. My years and years and years of having this morning ritual has served me in the most, in ways that it's really hard to put into words, honestly, because it's now at this point, it's such a, I feel like I feel like it's my favorite time of day. And I'll tear into some of what my morning ritual looks like. But the real goal for me with this episode is, number one, I feel that now that morning routines, or the subject is it's like such a hot topic, and it has been for quite some time now. Now it's gone so, and this happens, I think, with a lot of different zones of conversation or activities in culture. Basically, now it starts to get mocked. So now you have a lot of people that jump on and mock the morning routine. Like, oh, you know, you don't need to meditate for 2 hours, and you don't need to cold plunge for a fucking hour, and you don't need to, and goes through the whole list of activities that, you know, a lot of people talk about being so great in the morning routine. And I want to talk about why I understand that, and why I also don't think that that's a great message either. So I'm going to just get us right into it. So, okay, morning routine. Why do I not call it a routine? Personally, I prefer ritual, because in my world, it really is more ritualistic. I'm a very mystical, ritualistic woman. It's also, for me, it's really driven by feminine energy, right? So the flow of my day is yin, yang, yin, right? So water, fire, water, right? So the water is the feminine energy. The central part of my day is the fucking fire. It's the go. It's the showing up. It's the, you know, just high performer in me. And then the end of my day, how I wrap out every day, is in that yin energy again. I get quiet. I go, my feminine energy comes in and just starts to nourish me and get me ready to sleep, high quality sleep, right? So rituals, by my definition, rituals are routines done with heart and soul. Rituals are routines done with heart and soul. So yeah, there's a routine component to a ritual, but it's different. I feel like routine, and by the way, this could just be semantics. You may prefer the word routine, and if you do, fuck yeah to you, but just giving you a different idea, because I think sometimes even that word can make somebody feel rigid, in that process. I don't want to feel, routine. And I get that, especially for women. And I'm going to break that down too, because sometimes the routine sort of feels just like a checkbox, right? Did I check? Whereas like the idea of a morning ritual for me, and what I'd like to, invite out here, is that it's not a checkbox. It's, yes, you have this arsenal that you build, and I'll, give you some of what's in mine, but these are tools in the toolkit, right? And they don't have to all come out every single day in the same order in the same way, but they do all exist for a really good reason, all of which is to ground you at the top of your day, center you, get you really self-connected, get you very clear about how you'd like to move through your day so you can be very intentional. You can be, co-creating your day, your reality, right? You're not just moving reaction, you're not reactive to your day. You're actually creating your day. And also set up your nervous system to be more resilient, because the day's going to fucking come at you. It comes at all of us. And the more you're going for it in your life, the more that, it's going to feel like a fucking MMA fight a lot of times, because they're just like things that it's just par for the course. It comes with it. So the more that you can set up your nervous system to be resilient to meet all of those, I call them life punches, you're going to move through your day more powerfully. So yeah, it's a really good idea to have a good morning routine. For the sake of this episode, we're going to ditch the word routine. And again, if that's your word, that's your vibe, great. But it's not part of my language, my lexicon when I'm talking about the morning routine. So it's, or I just said morning routine, morning ritual. So I'm going to stick with ritual as I continue on. So here's something that I think is very important before we get into the details of, what your morning ritual is. And I'm going to give you actually 3 just very simple and different ideas to perhaps implement into your morning ritual. Things that you don't really hear about much, but I know to be very effective. So before we get into all of that, I want to go back to the piece about, the morning routine. I had to use it for this moment, getting mocked. Here's the deal. We're all different. Right? What works for you, works for you. What works for me, works for me. What works for him and her. We're all different. So this whole grouping thing it's not going to work. It's kind of like one diet fits all. We're individuality. We have to harmonize, word I love from my girl, Dr. Marisa Snyder, and just have to shout her out. And we're all going to do that differently. What harmonizes me is not the same that's what's going to harmonize David Goggins. What harmonizes Goggins isn't going to be the same for, Sarah over there, whatever, right? So I think this call out is really ineffective. Like, oh, you don't need to do that. And like kind of just, and here's where I do understand the message. I understand that a lot of times people can just get carried away and it becomes a form of procrastination. So I know that that's the intention behind that mocking message around, you don't need the morning routine. You just need to get up and get to work. I get it. Cause I know that, a lot of people can do that. And now you've just, you've created this 4-hour, morning sort of ceremony for yourself that sounds really romantic and epic, but it's not actually, it's not helping you progress. It's kind of hindering your growth, ironically. And that does happen. So the idea here is to create something that works for you, for your individual needs, and to let it be something that isn't, you're not doing it just to do it, but there's real intention behind every aspect of it, right? Because I think the person who kind of builds out this, extra long this morning routine for themselves, I said routine again. They're someone who's kind of stalling in the morning. I'm not trying to judge, who I don't fucking know, but I do know that can happen. So I'm putting this category, what I'm saying I'm categorizing this in that that zone where I hear people mocking, a lot of high performers mocking this subject of the morning routine. Like, you don't need it. One thing I think is really important to point out when thinking about how different we are is, first of all, men and women are different. Men and women are fucking different. Sure, we might ride some of the same, things like similarly in some areas, but sorry, you're a man, I'm a woman, we're different, right? And I can't imagine, as a woman, as a female, having the same routine, ritual. See, and when I'm thinking about a man, routine makes a lot of sense. That's why I keep using that word in reference to these specific areas that I'm talking about. But as I move deeper into the episode, ritual will be the word because it makes the most sense with what I'm going to share with you. But the word routine for me in the morning is definitely not my fucking thing, right? And I know for a lot of women, that is also a truth. It's like, that's our sacred time to go in and to sort of live in the beautiful energy of being a woman. And that could, look like a lot of different things. It might mean longer meditation. It might mean much more journaling versus maybe, for a man, it's like, no, I want to go straight to my computer and just be in that quiet, space with myself where I could just really, focus after my cold shower. It's like boom, 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 boom. And that's dope. That works for him, but maybe not for her. Right. And then there's this whole other thing that we need to also recognize, which is what worked for me in my 20s is not going to be the same thing in my 40s, maybe a little bit here or there. But again, I'm pointing this out because I think it's not black and white. It's not this or that. It can't be, especially when we're talking about something that is so specific to how it's going to make an individual feel. It's not a one size fits all. So I just want to get that out of the way. While I do understand the intention, which is don't hide behind this morning routine or even ritual, if you're a woman and you're doing that, don't do that. The idea is, let's create something that really helps you feel your best, lock in your focus, get really fucking clear, and then execute like a badass, right? So now that I got that out of the way, and that was, I've sat on that for I've sat on it for a while because I see these reels and things that come out and, people talking about like, you don't need this, you don't need that. I'm like, huh? You don't know what I need actually. And I might not even know what she needs or he needs, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, the fuck, I can't, let me move into my morning ritual now just for a little bit. Because again, I've had mine for so long. So here are the staples. I read every day. I can't imagine not reading. I read, I write. So writing my journal, but also writing can be writing my book, or my Substack, but I'm writing. Meditation. So this is time with my muse, my higher self, my future self, talk about her in different episodes. Ultimately, it's, me connecting with me, breath work, also research. I do like using my morning ritual time to research, and that's really fun for me. So this is where I get to read, take an idea, contemplate, write a little bit, contemplate. I literally let my mind wander, and also it gives me ideas. And there's also this component to it where I am researching, whether it's something just for myself or something for work. So meditation, writing, journaling, breath work, research, and I'll add in that wonder, right? So I literally let myself wonder. So here's something cool. If you don't know this already, I know I've talked about it in different episodes. When you wake up, you move from theta brainwaves into alpha brainwaves. Theta is the similar brainwave to what when you are in hypnosis, like hypnosis, right? So this is where you can tap into your subconscious. You're like you're kind of awake, you're not awake, right? And then alpha is when you wake up and you're just in this super calm state. This is an excellent state for meditation. This is also a state where you can tap into your subconscious. Now, my work is knowledge work, right? And my work is based off of my experience, my real life experience. Depending on what the subject is too, there's a lot of science infused into my work as well. So there is reading, there is research. And then there's a lot of intuitive downloads. Now, intuition, accessing your intuition is going to be much easier in the alpha brain wave state. Right now, I'm in beta, right? This is like, and most of us throughout the day, we're in beta brain waves. And so the idea for me of throwing myself in beta and exiting alpha really fast, no, thank you. No, thank you for a lot of reasons. No, my nervous system wouldn't like that. And also that what happens in that period of time where my alpha brain waves are just fucking vibrating, all the downloads, so much of what I've shared on the podcast over the years, in my writing, my personal consciousness expansion, this is where this shit happens, right? So imagine if I was just, cold shower, get out. No, it wouldn't work, you know? It's not even that it wouldn't work. That's not the right words for it. It would rob me of so much of my growth, my evolution, what I'm here to share, my wisdom, and also just like shit that feels good to me. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is again like why it's not one size fits all. And also just wanting to share with you that is also what's happening when you wake up. So you understand your brainwaves, right? Like in those states. Now that I mentioned what I have in my toolkit, right? In my morning ritual toolkit, this is also now really important. So even though I can't remember how many things it was. Let's just say it was 6 things. Even though I have six tools in the toolkit, doesn't mean that every single day I'm going through every single one of them. There are days when sometimes I do. Like sometimes, especially on the weekend, and I have just more time to kind of stretch out and melt into my morning time. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like if it feels right. Here's the important piece. If it feels right, what do you need? You know, for me, some mornings, maybe it's just a lot of reading and then some meditating and I'm gone. I'm good. We're going. Other days it could be breath work, journaling, meditation, reading, whatever. Some days it's, you know what I mean? It's just the idea here is that it's not rigid. It's not rigid. It doesn't need to be. We're not checking off boxes here. And this is where I think you really get the opportunity to be very intentional about what is this about for you? Are you doing it because you heard it was a good thing to do and you should do it? Or did you actually put together a few tools that you know that are giving you immediate feedback? This fucking feels good. This is working for me. I have more clarity. I'm more resilient in the day. Oh my gosh, my visualization is really helping. Like I'm manifesting more things. I'm reading chapters in more books that's really adding to my knowledge and how, you know what I'm saying? Like the breath work, it's really helping me ground into my body. I'm building a better relationship with myself, my vitality. We don't want to just do things because we heard that they could be good and we should do, not even what I share with you. Fuck, like, no, it's never about that. Empower yourself, play with some ideas. Then you figure out what are your things. And then think about like, it's not that you have to, cook with every ingredient every time you get in the kitchen. Sometimes it's a little bit of salt, sometimes it's garlic and pepper. It's up to you. And this is where it really, I think, when it's really intentional, and also when you're really secure in yourself and sort of like your process, you're not gripping to your morning ritual, because if you don't do it, then, oh my gosh, it's never like that for me. Like, listen, if shit ever hit the fan and I got to go, I'm like, okay, we got to go. And I've certainly been in that situation many times, but even 5 minutes, like I can give myself 5 minutes in the morning. All of us can. And if you can't, then you really are the person who needs to fucking listen to this right now. You need it more than anybody. 5 minutes. And that's actually a good segue to bring in the 3 tools. We'll just keep running with that word. That could be of value. Either this is going to be a brand new morning ritual for you, or maybe something that I mentioned in here you can add into your morning ritual time, or maybe it's just something to think about. It's up to you. But all 3 of these, what's cool about these, first of all, they're very effective, not just in the immediate, but they have compounding interest, right? The more that you invest in these, I promise you, they're going to give you outstanding results. And the cool part is that it doesn't have to take a long time. You can literally, even if it was just these 3 things, I'm talking 10 minutes or less. You could put more time into it for sure, but I'm saying like, I'm giving you minimal dose for maximum benefits here. And that's also part of this episode, because I understand, we all have different schedules. I know, parents, you operate on a whole different level, when you have little ones and you have to manage that. Like, I have so much respect for that. It's a very real thing. So let me start with the first one that I've never heard anybody talk about, but I know to be so fucking powerful. So the first one is to be silent. You might have a partner, you might have kids, people who just immediately wake up, and that's going to be a really hard thing because everybody's already talking to you. Let me tell you something a little bit about me in the morning and the silent. Back years and years and years ago, one of my best friends, we were together a lot. So she kind of chalked me up as like, I'm not a morning person. Whereas that's not the truth, because I didn't like to talk in the morning. The thing is that it's me being extroverted. And when I wake up, I am in a conversation with myself. I'm listening. I'm listening. There's like things happening in here. In my life, I don't even want to hear my own voice in the morning. Like, don't want to hear my own voice. And I like my voice. It's not a hit against my voice, but it's driving home this idea that having a few moments in the morning of silence, first of all, just feels really good to your nervous system, especially top of morning after you've been asleep. Also, it gives you the opportunity to listen. And I think that's a skill that most people are missing right now. And this actually plays a lot into why it's so hard to hear your intuition, trust your intuition, because if you always have input, coming out here, from out here, and even if you're always projecting outwards, you never really get to hear the inner workings of what's happening. And for some people, I think maybe you don't want to hear what's happening inside. And that's a whole different series of podcasts, because there's reasons for that, but I can't get into all that right now. But what I can say is that at some point you're going to have to face it. And so it's probably, if that is you and it's hard to want to go in and listen to yourself, at some point you're going to have to face that, right? Because the idea really is, how can you turn your inner world to an inner sanctuary, into a place of refuge, like where you go to be nourished, to feel loved, to be held. In my world, this is where it's at with me. Like when things are hard, I want to go in, because in this connection, this bond that I forged with myself, I'm able to, sometimes it's literally just accepting myself. And in that moment, that can feel like the biggest hug, right? But you have to build that bond. You have to build that relationship, and I talk about that all the time, and, we'll continue to do so. It's a big part of my work. But going back and closing the loop on getting silent, even if you wake up and somebody's already demanding something of you and you have to be using your, everyone goes to the bathroom, just be in there longer. Just give yourself some quiet time to just, like close your eyes, or not. Like, even if it's, you're walking around, you're making your coffee, and just to practice listening. There's a reason why there are silent retreats where people actually go for long durations of time and just are in silence, because a lot fucking happens when you're silent a lot. I am a very introverted woman, and there's a lot of solitude by design in my life. So I can really speak to the benefits that come with this kind of silence. A lot of people often talk about my energy and, how calm I can be and just kind of centered. Well, this is one of the practices that helps me do that. It's cultivating this quiet time with myself, this solitude that really helps me to ground in and to be more centered. So again, you're starting your day. You want to ground in, you want to be more centered, and you might need to hear something from your higher self, and you need to create the space for that to come through. So just a couple minutes, however you can in the morning, of silent time will go a long way. Number 2, write something to yourself. So I am the queen of fucking journaling. So many episodes, endlessly. Google my name, Google journaling. And I have a journal. It's a beautiful guided illustrated journal. Link in the show notes if you want to check it out, called You Are the Path. I love it so much. I love journaling because it has truly been the greatest contributor to me becoming the woman that I am today, to build this bond with myself, because I've done it my whole life. I've been a diarist my whole life. And ultimately, what does that mean? I've been in this dialogue with myself, not just in my head, but actually moving it out of me for the majority of my life. And it does so, science has a lot to say about journaling, as do I. You can often hear about, gratitude journaling, right? That's a big one. And especially in the conversation around morning routines or rituals. And I think it is beautiful to actually list out, what you're grateful for. My goal with giving you this different approach of just write something to yourself is that it's not as constricted to one sort of category. Some people want that, right? Because I know that some people are like, well, how do I even journal? Like, what do I say? And a lot of that, there's judgment about thinking that you need to have something to say or that it needs to sound or look a certain way. It's judgment. Like, if you're questioning, what do I write about? There's always dialogue going on inside. So it's not that you don't have anything to write about. It's that you think that whatever you're going to write isn't, quote, good enough, which I call bullshit on that, because first of all, and that's like another reason why you want to write, like to get past that judgment of yourself. Like, fuck. You want to be able to just write whatever. Like, the sky looks really blue today. Great. Whatever. Just get used to, with this tip, what my big goal for you giving you this tip is, I just want you to get into this practice where you are communicating something with yourself. You're starting dialogue with yourself. It is not the same thing as just having thoughts in your mind. Most of the narratives and the scripts are programs anyways, and we're not even fucking aware that they're running, and you have to do all this subconscious work to figure out that. And again, that's another episode, but I'm talking, it could be anything. It could be a goal. It could be a question. It could just say something like, hey, Roxanne, I love you. Kick ass today. Roxanne, that was really interesting what happened yesterday. More on that later. It's literally just building out that practice of just getting into dialogue with yourself, because I want you to start to really build this self-connection, this bond that I'm always talking about, right? And at the top of your day, it's this way of acknowledging yourself, silence, quiet, listening to self, writing something to yourself is like saying, hey, what's up? You're here. I'm here. We're here. I always say there's no I in here. There's a we. I want to get you to go from I to we. That's the goal. And so this is a practice that helps you do that. So just write something to yourself, whether it's a one-liner or who knows, maybe, sometimes you fucking open the valve and there's a whole page that comes out. That's up to you. But again, this could be something done in literally 2 minutes. And that's why I'm giving it to you. So silence, write something to yourself. Number 3. So this kind of falls into something that we hear more often. I've already actually mentioned it in mine, but I want to give it to you in a little bit of a different way. So breath work. Now, there's all kinds of breath work, and I really do believe in the power of breath work. I don't think there's much not to believe. It's like a fucking physical, part of just being a human and existing. And we can absolutely regulate our nervous system. We can change how we feel inside through breath work. That is a truth. That's a fact. Fuck, it works. Different kinds of breath work can give you different experiences. I just want to give you this super elementary idea again. And this is kind of also to tailor this in a way where it's not overwhelming to you, because the best morning ritual is going to be the one that you feel the most connected to, that you can stay consistent with. If it becomes this whole fucking obstacle course, it ain't going to work, And that's why, again, back up several minutes ago, I said, this is about you building it out so in your unique way so that you can be very intentional. And these 3 elements, these 3 tools that I'm giving you, these can be add-ons or these can be new things, but the idea behind them they're a little bit different, or maybe some, at least in the way I'm going to address it. And also just, I know that they work. So yeah, there's no losing anything by trying these into your morning ritual time. So number 3 is breath work. And I'm just going to say, give yourself 10 deep breaths, in through your nose. I like to blow out through my mouth like I'm breathing through a straw, right? In through your nose, out 4 seconds in, maybe 6 seconds out. You can feel into that. There's so many different, and of course, if you want to go deeper on breath work, I mean, YouTube this shit. There's a ton. I love heart, mind coherence breath work. That's my morning breath work, because I always talk about mind and heart working as a team is the goal. I mean, this is where you're going to be the most, you're going to just feel your best. You're in alignment with yourself, right? Your heart can fucking lead you, your intuition, and your mind is working for you in your favor. So breath work can bring your mind and heart into coherence. So I love that, but I don't want to go too deep and make it too complex. Just 10 simple breaths. This is also a way to wake up your body, to get into your body. And before you even go do anything physical, right? It's like a quiet way to, I keep using this, but to hug your system and say like, hey, we're awake. We're about to go into life now, right? But we're going in as a team. Like I'm setting you up to have the best experience so that I can also have the best experience and we can kick ass together. And, a lot of people just don't breathe throughout the day or don't even know how to breathe. So just giving yourself 10 breaths in the morning and just keeping that simple practice is really powerful. And then if you want to go deeper on it, great. And again, you might be someone who's super advanced with all of this already, so this isn't even going to matter to you. But to round this whole episode out, let's bullet point the main topics. Number 1, your morning ritual, her morning ritual, his morning routine, all going to be fucking different. And they should be, because we are all different. So the goal is create yours very intentionally. Don't just fall. Of course, try things like maybe you heard some things in here today. You're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to try that. But ultimately, it has to be something that really feels like it resonates with you. And maybe in the immediate, this is important to say, some of the things that you're doing, you don't immediately feel the power of them. Maybe like writing something to yourself, you're like, oh, that didn't do much for me, but I say like, maybe give it like 3 days at least, just something where you can just see, maybe it's a little different after day 3 than it is at day 1. I bet it would be. But you ultimately, no matter how great what I'm saying is, or he said, or she said, you need to find things that work for you. Also, don't be fucking rigid with it, and certainly don't overwhelm yourself with something and ultimately use it as like a procrastination blanket. You want efficiency, which isn't to say you're trying to be, militant with it, but you just need the right dose of these tools. So you design the tools that work for you, and then, just be efficient with your dosing. So that way you can get on with your fucking day the way that you need to and go kick ass, after your morning ritual. And again, if it's a routine for you, fine. But I love ritual. And then just the three to add to a protocol or not. Silence, write something to yourself, 10 breaths. 10 breaths. Breaths. Said that funny. Yeah, I love my morning time. I literally melt into my mornings. Oh yeah, that's another thing that I have. I have a big red light panel, bond charge. I'm throwing that in. If I fucking use it and I love it, I talk about it. Red light therapy. I mean, maybe you're already aware of how incredible this is for mitochondria. So put the power plants in your body. Red light gives that energy. It's like literally like you're powering yourself up. It's my natural Botox. It's like, so good for your hair, or for your skin, actually for your scalp as well. But I have this big red light panel and I sit in front of that because I wake up, it's usually dark, and I get to read and do all my stuff in front of the red light. And so it's just this time for me it's honestly, the word is sacred and I love it. And I hope that something in here helps you create or add, or maybe you're just editing at with your morning time. Or maybe you were on it for a while and then you kind of fell off, that thing that does happen to a lot of people. And maybe this was the episode that just, brings it all back for you, and brings it all back for you in a way that feels better than ever, and actually becomes something that really helps you to feel your best so that you can show up to your life in best form and that you can be consistent with. So that's what I got for you. If you loved it, let me know. I love hearing from you. Shout out to my Substack. Substack is the platform that I am loving the most out of all fucking platforms. It is not like the rest of, it's not even a social media platform. I mean, there's a bit of a social media component to it, but this is where my writing lives. So Roxanne Saffaie, it's in the show notes. I'd love to hang out with you there. I'm building out my community there, and it's just such a fun, feel good. I mean, I love going in my morning ritual time. I love opening Substack. I don't fuck with any Instagram shit. Like, I don't go on social in my morning time. No way. But Substack is different because Substack, you could read intelligent, very uplifting, just fucking authentic art from creators doing really great things there. So it's a very feel good platform. So I love promoting the shit out of it. Roxanne Saffaie Substack. I'll catch you on the next one. To all my tender savages, to all you self-lovers, to all you magnetic badasses who are showing up every day authentically, courageously, who refuse to play small, I'm so excited to introduce our new lifestyle brand, La Rowan Pa, because we designed it just for you. Who's we? We is my work wife / wing woman / badass graphic artist, Paulina Stewart. Every design is a culmination of deep intention, love, fire, magic, heart, and soul brought to life through my writing and Paulina's graphic work. Because we are so intentional about every single statement, every design, we only drop one design a month. We want you to live it. We want you to feel the essence and the frequency of every design because they are so powerful, like you. So check it out, larowanpa.com. It's in the show notes. The new drop is so sick, and I cannot wait to see all of you wearing it. You get a variety of products to choose from in each drop. So wear it on your head, hat. You can get socks. You can wear a hoodie. You can hang it on your wall. Whatever you end up doing, please do let us know by sharing it on your socials and your stories. Tag at Roxy Look, tag La Rowan Pa, and we will reshare the powerful, magnetic, badass beauty that you are. larowanpa.com.